Hello Angel Doll friends, it's V. We're back. Okay, we are actually making the silicone baby and putting it into the molds right now, okay? So I'm just gonna go through my process. I'm gonna try to talk you through it. Jen, my videographer, she's gonna try to keep up and stay in close so you can actually see what we're doing. And then that way, maybe if you're interested, you can try it yourself. Today we're going with the EcoFlex 30, which I got from Smooth On, and I buy it by the gallon, which I shared before, and it goes to about $200 a gallon. So you really don't want to, when you're starting out, don't use a lot. Do little pieces, so then that way you can practice and fine tune it. All right, so right now what I'm doing is we're gonna start out. I always start by, move on in if you like, Jen. I always started by putting the Vaseline into my molds. So then that way I can kind of check that off in my mind. Create your own system that you do for yourself. Then that way things don't get missed. Again, because this is super important for me to make sure these are lathered properly. I don't want to make the mistake of pouring my silicone in and thinking, oh man, I forgot to put a sealant on there or a Vaseline on or something. And now I lost not only the silicone for the casting, but the whole mold itself. And as we know, it's very expensive. So this is always the first thing I do. So I just rub it in. And I just feel my way. I even do the top because I don't want it to stick on anything. I guess I could have did this without videotaping this part. But I'm going to do this to all the pieces, and I stick my whole hand in here. And I go through and I stick my fingers into the little toes because I need those toes to come out of this mold. All right, and then I'll do it a second time just to make sure, because it's those little toes and fingers that, when I'm pulling this cast out, I wanted to make sure that it all comes out. I don't want to be, I don't want to have a toe stuck in there because both silicones got married and now they don't want to come free. All right. So, and it really does. It takes a little bit of effort. I want to make sure they're all in there. And because I'm always concerned about that one, I'll do that one again. Let's go to the next one. Leg, leg, arm, arm, head. And you see how I'm just rubbing it through. Not too much. If I have old silicone in there, paper towels available. I wipe my hands off. And I start again. Rub, rub, rub. Because I just want enough to have it, lather. Just to smooth it. Just so they don't marry together. They can date, but they can't marry. I cracked myself up. All right. And I don't know if some of you remember, I actually put on a headband today, so I don't have my lemony snicket. I don't know what it's called. Okay. So I make sure all those toes in the back of the heel, rub, 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 are all lather smooth. It doesn't have to be like sticky, but just smooth. There shouldn't be any dry spaces to where you should be able to slide your hand in really nicely and easy. All right, your leg, arm, rub, 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 and lather. Get those fingers. And for those of you whose hands are a little bigger, that's where your brush comes in, on those little fine pieces, like those little fine finger, like especially if your sculpture is smaller and you can't get your hand in, that's okay. Use your brush, dab it in there and then use your brush to get into your little Vaseline brush to get into those little spaces. But remember, you have to get into them. All right, that's one arm. Last arm. And if you get silicone on you from previous castings, just wipe it off. Keep going. I do my whole hand, all my fingers, so then that way it smooths through. I got more silicone on my hand. Because this isn't, I don't want to be remiss of any spaces not getting the Vaseline on it. But I don't want to be re-entering old casting either. And the nice thing about this is the Mold Star 15, not the 16. Rephrase, sorry. The Mold Star 16 with the faster one. It's a little harder, not 15, which is a little softer, but it takes longer to cure. This is so, if you choose to use the Mold Star 15, which is the softer one, it's a little easier too to get your hands in here because it's a little softer. The difference, again, like I shared in the other video, between the two is that the 15 takes 4 hours to cure. 16 takes 30 minutes. So I just wanted to be extra specific with this one. And kind of go on your feel. All right, here's the head. So cute. Especially with these those little things like ears. Make sure you get in there. Don't put a lot in there. Just make sure it's, you know, smooth. Because you don't want their ears to get stuck inside of there. Okay. I like doing the heads because it's easier to see. And I'll make sure you do the neck. Then I set it down and I rub the bottom of the head. If you see that the nice thing about the heads too is that it's big. So if you see anything in there that you're like, oh, there's extra cast from other ones, you can just pull it out. Make sure you get those lips and then that nose. Just rub them gently. All right, so I think we're good. All right, and then I rub at the top because on this part is going to be the thick part that's going to go inside the doll's body. So I always have, when I measure it, you measure, make sure you have some that goes over the top of this. So I don't want that sticking, so I rub it at the top. All right. Then I do one more go through just to make sure. Especially with these fingers and toes. I don't want it to stick in any way. I just want to double check because I need them all to come out. Because you don't want to waste your molds. That's awful. You don't want to mess up your molds because you didn't take the time to do this properly. When it's so easy to do. Just takes patience. I have sprayed the Ease Release 200 with the Vaseline. It's fine. You can do it. But you don't need to. But if it gives you that extra security, like, okay, I'm making sure this doesn't, then do it. It's all right. I want to just double check. The molds are very expensive to make because you think about it. It's $200 for a gallon of this. But you need more of this because it has to surround your sculpture and it has to create a base and it has to be secure. So it takes a lot more. So think it takes about, it took me 50 ounces, 52 ounces to do that 2-part mold, only for me to scrap it because I didn't like it, you know? And you think, so it comes out to about 70 cents an ounce. So you're looking at about what, almost $50? just to be like, I don't like it. So it's an expensive process, but it's definitely worth it when you get little cuties like that. So don't give up. Art is art. And if you're not in school, you're going to pay tuition anyway, because this is tuition. Think about it like that. Every learning opportunity is going to cost you. And it goes back to how badly do you want it, right? Okay, I'm happy. I'm happy with it. Okay, now I'm done with that. Did it take a while? Yeah, a little bit. Okay, as you see, I've written on here how much it's going to cost me to cast this 9 ounces for this leg, 9 ounces. I write on them. It comes off, but don't worry, okay? But it's a nice way to remember how much things are going to cost you. I also keep my own little book here of how much the mold I used, how much casting material I need per piece. And you say, well, V, why do you do it that way? Well, just say, for example, I only want to use this head and I want to make a different body. Then I'll have to remeasure it. But why would I do that if I can just look at my notes? Okay? It saves you time in the big picture. And trust me, you will forget. You will forget what it is, how much it takes. Also, like this is little Abigail's little mold. Isn't it cute? This is Abigail's name. It takes 4 ounces to do her little head. You'll be amazed how quickly you forget which molds are what faces. And you think, well, all I have to do is just open it up and look at it. Not really, because they all look the same after a while. So you're like, dang, is this Michael? Is this Abby? Who is it? Now, Abigail, 4 ounces. So label your things, okay? Label it so you know what. Give it names, give it numbers, give it letters, whatever you need to do. Do that. So it'll save you time and aggravation in the future. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do, because I molded this so crazy, it's not going to use this. I am going to, now we got to secure these. We want to make sure that we line it up. Okay? I wrap the placemat around it. Make sure you have some at the top, just in case when you pull the air out, it may fill up. So we want to make sure that we cover the seam line and that we have a little bit over the top. Okay, wrap it securely. But I'm more concerned about the fact that it lines up in there and that it's secure. Because on this particular mold, I'm not going to bubble over, okay? Because I have space inside. But on future ones, for others that you may be doing, for example, say for like this, it will bubble up. So I would need space over top, as you can see. So that's why I just make it a practice to go above. Also, when you're thinking about doing this, think about making sure it fits in your vacuum chamber. This is the height of it. So you need to make sure that it fits in here. Because if it's over here, you can't put the top on, and your vacuum chamber is not going to work. Because you can't lid it. So you keep that in mind too, okay? All right, I already made my strips of my masking tape. And I wrap it around. Okay? And because I see that there's a little line, there's still a little break in there, I'm going to do another piece. Because I want to secure it, I want it tight. So it keeps my mold together. Okay, that's a lot better. Also, what this does is it keeps my seam line, it keeps it secure. So that way, if there is a little break here, it's not seeping through and dripping out. again, your silicone is expensive. You don't want to just be spilling over all over the place, which happens. It does happen. It sucks, but it does happen. All right, let's do the other arm. I put it on the seam first to make sure my seams are covered. Wrap it around. Make sure my seam is tight. Grab my pre-cut strips. And molding and casting, I'll tell you, is not for everybody. I just happen to be one of those unique people that I love every single process of making these dolls. But not everybody does. There we go. Again, I'm not so concerned about these edges being open. I'm more concerned about keeping that tight because I'm not going to bubble over on this. I already know that. Okay? All right, let's do this leg. And on this one you say, V, how did you know you needed 40 ounces? Because I already measured with my rice, remember? And I put it, sometimes I'll go down the bottom to make sure, just in case there's any leakage, that it'll capture, the tape will capture it. Oh. There we go. Doesn't have to be pretty, people. Not at all. You just want it secure, because you're going to rip this thing off anyway. Alright, so let me show you. See if I don't get it tight. See how there's a line in there? I don't know if you can see it. Can you see the line? You don't want that. That seam is going to be there on your doll's leg. So what I want to do, if you can see the line there, what I want to do is now I'm going to pull this off and try to tighten it. And that's why it's important to have these. Some people, they have different methods, like they'll use a tin can or something else. The problem with that is, how can you reuse it as far as tightening it? I need to get more tape. Can't, because it's tin, which is why I like to use these. Side note, when you're using these to make a mold, if you have a big mold and you say you need about more than 30 ounces, you are going to have that technique I showed you in that video, your silicone is going to be all over the floor. This is not strong enough to secure more than 30 ounces. This technique is for small pieces. So for something this big, what I do is I get a glass base, like you know how you go to, all right, here we go. You know how you go to Michael's or someplace, you know, when you get a coupon, because you know we're all about saving money. Get a coupon and you buy those glass vases. Bring your sculptures with you. Test them, make sure they fit. And the ones that do, that gives you your margin around it, go ahead and, you know, create your mold in that, in your glass. And then that way, once it cures, all you gotta do is break the glass. That keeps, it has a base, it's easy to get it off. Be careful, don't cut yourself. And you don't have to worry about it busting, like the silicone, you know, oozing out the bottom, which has happened to me, and it can be a very expensive mistake. All right, so this is what I do. I hope I'm not boring you. And because my signature is on there, I need to make sure that it lines up. Okay? And I'm going to do another one. Just one for good measure. Then we're going to, this is really a funky, weird one. So I just kind of just tape it. I don't put the placemats on that one because it's an awkward shape. I was trying something different because isn't that the fun in it? Just try, see what happens. It didn't turn out all that good though. All right, last piece on this. And maybe, you know, by me doing this, maybe you can be doing it with me at the same time, maybe. Who knows? Who knows? All right, make sure my signature is lined up right. Just going to put some, and what I do is I line them all up to make sure that the hole is closest to me when I'm pouring, because this is going to take me 40 ounces, and 40 ounces can get kind of heavy for me. I know I should be stronger than I look. All right, this one I'm just going to tape it. Do my little best. Let's see. Let's stick to what I do. Don't modify, then it'd be a mess. Stick with what we know what works. I put the strip down the front. Can you see, Jen? Because that's where my seam is, up the front of the mold, but it's actually the back of the sculpture, because that's where I want my seam. And the closer you can get these together, like pulling it together, the less the seam you have. And it takes practice. It really does. There we go. This is why I like doing the pieces, because I like being able to put the molds together. Eventually we'll do a full body silicone baby. We'll see. All right, we're ready. We are ready. Okay, so now I got my molds already. Now let's make our mixture. Let's turn you this way. Okay, Jen. You're gonna have to get in close on this one, my friend, because what we're gonna do is, this is my part A. This is my part B. Each get their own stick, and I set a second on the side. Oh, maybe I do need my hair clip. All right. Now you can wear your gloves for this. I personally don't, but you could. I mean, they did Smooth On wears gloves. They must wear gloves for a reason, right? But that's up to you. So this is A. I'm going to use A first. You got to always stir it first, because there's going to be the goopy stuff on the bottom. So you want to mix that in. Also, you want to make sure that you kind of smash out the, the goopy stuff, so you don't have the lumps. You also want to make sure that you don't store this in a cold place or a really hot place. You know, they say that on the instructions, but sometimes people don't, they don't listen. And they probably should, and then they lose the ability for the material to do what it's supposed to do for them. All right, so this is my part A. I'm pretty happy with it. So because I know I need 40 ounces, I'm going to pour in 20. Starting with part A. I made my little 20 line because this didn't have 20. I need 40. So here's 20, and then I'm going to put part B in to add the 40. But I'm starting with A. There's A. Okay. So once I got A, now I need to create the color, okay? This is always the fun part for me. Okay, I'm gonna make this a Caucasian baby, and I got my 20 ounces. Probably can use a little bit more, but we'll get back to that. So right now, I'm gonna go with my flesh tone. Can you see, Jen? You wanna move in? So people can see. And then I get my Q-tips. This is the paint. Is not silicone paint, it's just paint that I also too get from Smooth On. And I've tried to do like the flexing and stuff from other places, and it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. Like it won't give you texture. I thought it would give me texture, but it doesn't. And then I just test it out. It's the best part. See what happens. I leave that open. Then I use my chopsticks. I mix. And I do this until I create the color that I want. And this is a little too light. So what you want to do is make this a little darker, because once you add part B, it gets light again. So, or it gets more like a transparent, I guess is the better word. So don't be afraid to make it dark. Not too dark, not chalky. And you don't need a lot too. This is the beautiful thing about it. I think maybe that's why it's so expensive, because you don't need a lot. How's the view over there, Jen? Is it good? Okay. And it depends on what you want the baby to look like. So if you're looking for that brand new, freshly made, I like to add a little white, freshly made baby, then you may want your baby to have a little bit more transparency. But I have never had success with adding silicone paint to change the color of the baby itself. Has not worked for me. I don't know, it could work for somebody else. So for me, getting this part to the texture of color that I'm looking for is really important for me. Okay. I just add a little bit of white. A little bit of white goes a long way. You don't need a lot of white. But I love the little peachy color. Alrighty, I think I'm pretty happy. I'm gonna add a little bit more because, like, even though I like this color, I'm gonna add a little bit more because once I add that part B, it's gonna lighten up. And even once I add the part B, I can still add more. That's okay. See it swirling in there? There's right over there. Now, every time I stir, you see those bubbles? This is, again, why you have to have the vacuum chamber. Alrighty. I like that color. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit more of this 20, because I would rather, for my 20, to make my 20, I want to make sure I have a little bit more than not enough. There we go. Yeah, I like that better. Okay. Very happy, friends. Okay. All right, let's go to part B. Happy with this? once you add your part B, you got about, what did it say? 45 minutes. It's going to start curing on you. This is the portion that takes 4 hours to cure completely, okay? But it's going to start that process. You got 45 minutes of pot life. Pot life, again, means how much time do I have it in the pot? Think of it that way. And again, like my part A, I got my goopy stuff on the bottom. And as I'm stirring my part B, I don't have to worry about part A doing it. It's not going to do anything until I add B. Okay? So I don't have to worry about it. I can do this all day and it won't make a difference. Okay, and then I want to smash the goopy at the bottom. Smash my goopy at the bottom. I love silicone. I love the material. I love the feel of it. Okay. All right, friends, let's go. Okay. Let's pour our B. Again, I know I need 40, so I'm just going to keep pouring this until I get 40. You say, V, why do you do it that way? I thought you poured 20 in one pot and 20 in another pot and then had the over waste. I did, which is why I do it this way. It's not as accurate, though, I'll tell you the truth. But it does the job. I'm going to go a little over. There we go. All right. And it's all slippy. This helps prevent as much, over waste that I can. All right, friends, let's stir. And our time starts now. That part, see how it lightened on me? I don't know if you can really tell that, but it did. It gave me more of a translucent look. The reason I use the chopsticks is because I can clean them. They're strong. I don't have to worry about them breaking. And these are the plastic ones, so I can wash them off and reuse them. And you know me, I'm always about saving money. Make it make sense. All right, I want to add more because it's too light for me. Because this is going to be the color of your baby. And whatever color you get in here is what you're going to get. That is the nice thing about this. That you see what you're getting. And I don't want to make it too much or make it too chalky. You see, every time I stir, it creates bubbles. And we don't want bubbles. Bubbles is our enemy. I'm going to add a little more. Let's add a little more color, shall we? And I can change it. I can add a little red, not a lot, please. Just a little dab of do ya. What commercial was that? Do you remember that commercial, Jen? No? Just a little bit. On, like, not even a dot on the red if you're trying to make a Caucasian baby. Because then your baby will be red. Unless that's what you're going for, then that's different. And what I do too is I play with the colors. You know, come up with different textures and mixtures of colors. And then record it. So you know which babies take what colors. In your little red book like me. All right, I like that color. What do you think about that color?
I like it.
Me too. All right, now that I got that done, now this is where our vacuum chamber come in at. I'm going to take this whole mixture and I'm going to put it in our vacuum chamber. And have your trash beside you too, because I don't have it next to me because of the video for that purpose, but I usually keep it next to me so I can throw all that stuff away. Okay. All right, Jen, come on over here. So now I got my mixture. Look at all the bubbles in there from all the stirring. There's so many. You cannot have that. And this is where this little handy dandy comes in. So what we're gonna do, this is my gauge. This tube connects to this vacuum pump. There's an on and off button in the back. This is where my oil is. What I'm gonna do, this is closed, outside air to the vacuum pump. That's closed, shut off valve. This is open, okay? What I wanna do is, I want to make sure, excuse me, both are closed. The reason I wanna make sure this is closed is because when I turn this on, I don't want any oil pooling, okay? So it's just for my own safe measure. Start closed, both ends, start closed. I take, inside my vacuum chamber looks like this. I keep an extra one just in case there's any spillage or anything over, because the inside is just like a pot. I don't want to clean that. I'd rather clean this. So I put an extra one in there if I need it. Unless you're doing something bigger, then you may not need to do that. I take this and I set it inside. Once I have it inside, I add my lid. I check around it to make sure it's even. That way it's secure all the way around. Let me move you so you can see. This process goes a lot more quickly once you get used to it, but for video purposes, I want you to be able to see it. Okay, I'm checking again. It's all around. All right, next thing I do, closed, closed. It's inside. I'm happy. Turn on my pump. I let it run for a little bit. It's not doing anything. You see my gauge isn't moving. It's not doing anything because I wanted just to go, okay, run, run. Now I'm going to open it. Slowly open it. And as you see, my gauge is moving. And inside, you can see the bubbles. Now what that's going to do is it's going to start pulling that air eventually. This side is closed. My outdoor side is closed. My pump side is open. And it's going to take a few minutes. It's just going to bubble up. It's going to look like a foam. And what I'm doing is I'm waiting for all those bubbles to pull out and for it to collapse. Once it starts collapsing, I know I got the majority of the air out. But even after that, I'm going to let it still continue to pull. Looks fizzy. And the reason that I'm showing all of it is because I think each piece is important. You know, just so you can see, you can fast forward the video and the aspects that you're like, okay, got that. But in the event that you want to know, it's nice to be able to see it. See how it's really getting bubbly? And that's what people's dolls look like when they don't have a vacuum to pull that air out. And then they have to scrap it. And you cannot do it any other way. I know people have said, you know, put it on a washing machine, you know, shake it, tap it, you know. For me, it doesn't work for me. Now the fizzes are going down. It's starting to collapse. All right, so I'm going to keep doing this, and I don't know if you can see that they're going down, but I want to make sure that it's smooth, and that's my desired texture, that it's a smooth view inside of the pot. Good. I don't know if you can tell that the bubbles are really small now. I don't know if you can see it, but they're just kind of fizzies. And this is where patience come in. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm happy with it. It's flat, it's fizzy, but it's flat. So now I have to, the first thing I'm going to do is, this is important, is close your valve to your pump first. Close your pump valve. Now I'm closed, and then you turn off your pump. Okay, so I got both ends. Closed. I'm going to slowly open my outdoor valve. Now whatever little holes or bubbles that are there, it's going to pull those and release them. And that's why I want to do it slowly. And you see your gauge is going down. And as you can see that the texture is getting smoother. Like pancake mix. I think I'm just hungry. See, it's much more smooth. And my gauge is going to go all the way down to 0. And I could not open this if I wanted to. I couldn't lift this because it still is air compressed in there. But as the air continues to release, then I'll be able to open this. Okay. Done. Okay, here we go. All right, let's keep moving. I know, it's a lot of work. When you think about, you had to sculpt it, mold it, now we're casting it, then we got to paint it. And I know why people get so upset when people mold other people's work. I get it. I get it. Okay, so here's our texture. It's smooth. See, it's completely smooth. And what I'm going to do now is we start pouring. Do not stir it. You got all the air out now. So just start pouring. This is why I have the holes closest to me. Now, on my fingers and my 1 foot that I struggle with, I'm going to put those back into my vacuum chamber. But my head, because I know from I've already done several of these already, I don't need to do that. They'll turn out okay. This one, I put this one back in the vacuum. Because for some reason, some of them, some of them will have holes, some of them won't. I don't know. But this does help if you put it in first. If you vacuum it first, it does help with the air. And you're not going to be able to, always get them all perfect, which is why when you see the artists who deal with silicone, they say imperfections are part of it. It is, because each piece, each portion is so delicate, and the probability of something happening is probable. When I casted these, when I molded these, I molded them with extra at the top. All right. So I don't need to be completely, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put these in my vacuum chamber while I'm doing those, because I want to make sure that the air, that I get those toes. I have one that the heel wants to fight me because the air doesn't. So while I'm pouring these, because remember, I have 45 minutes to get this together. It's not a lot of time, but when you get comfortable with what you're doing, it makes it. I take my cap off the oil because it gets smoky. Closed, on, open. Keep going. And I do all of them first, and then I fine tune it to make sure that I have enough. Okay, I'm just pouring them in to the limbs. I'm trying to do it so you can see, but I'm just pouring them in. See? Into the hole. Happy with you? Close. Stop. Open. All right, I'm just going to double check them, make sure that they're doing what I need them to do. Like the amount is as high as I need them to be. All right. And I can tell because I molded it, so I know where my tape was. And okay, so I'm happy with you, happy with you. This one gets tilted. Let me see you. I think you need a little more. What if you need a little more? And I make sure that I'm happy with all of them before I do the last overage in my head for the neck base, I guess is what it is really. I'm gonna have to tilt that one. And I don't have to, you know, go it slowly when releasing the air on this because it's already pulled already. Let's see. I guess I'm high enough on that. Yeah, I guess I can put a little more here. Okay, got you. Once I get to this part, ladies and gentlemen, it's just letting them get hard. And then open this up, take it out. That's it. Okay, I want this to stay tilted a certain way. There we go. So I'm always keeping stuff around me. All right, put you in. I use everything. Close, close. My vacuum pump is old too. I've had it for several years. I've had this for several years. I don't know how long they're supposed to last, but we're going to do it till it die. These are the craft sticks. I like these to scrape. Now I'm going to pour it, I'm going to scrape the rest of this and create my neck. Because now I'm happy that I have everything I need for the other ones. If that makes sense. Because it doesn't make sense to have too much for this and then you're short on your arms. I'm gonna need to make that a little higher, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? You know, try not to move it because every time it adjusts, you're gonna get more air in it. I just want a thin layer at the top. I don't want it too thick because then I'm going to end up cutting it. So I don't want to do that. And if you cut it, then that's a waste. So you just want enough. I'm done with you. I'm going to make this higher up here to make it even. All right. And close, turn off, open. All right, so I still have some left, which is fine by me. So what I do is then I just use it for any spaces See, because I still have space in these molds. So I just fill in the gaps. And for this video purpose, I was moving that head a lot more than I typically would. So I'm going to vacuum my head again too. And I can add, even after I vacuum it, I can add silicone to it because I vacuumed this already. Because remember, our second vacuum is just for extra measures. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap this up. You got the gist of this, okay? I know you can do it. Try. Again, start small. I'm going to pour it, make sure all of them are poured in, vacuum them again on the ones I want to be more comfortable with, take them out, let them set. 4 hours, take it apart, pull them out, and you have your doll parts in silicone. Thank you so much. I really hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions, send me an email and I'll try my best to answer. And also, check out my website, www.theangeldollcompany.com. This is V. Thanks for watching.